Fala amigos do canal Alma Hard, tudo beleza? Aqui é o Leandro Isopo e hoje a gente vai trazer para vocês a nossa primeira entrevista internacional com o Joél Cirera, baterista do Crazy Lixx. Ele vai contar novidades do novo álbum que saiu semana passada, chamado Two Shots of Glory, vai contar sobre a turnê sul-americana, com passagem em 3 datas aqui no Brasil, e também assuntos relacionados à banda, curiosidades, a cena sueca, então vai ter bastante assunto legal para a gente tratar.
So we are here today with Joél Cirera.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct.
Yeah, and we are here for the Alma Hard canal interview. We are doing these interviews to try to promote Crazy Lixx here in Brazil, and their new album, which is coming out this week, I guess. Right?
Yeah, actually, I think you know better if I do. But I think it's the 16th or 14th or something like that.
I guess it's 14th, but I will try to look.
But Valentine's Day of all days.
And we are all very excited. We are here with Leandro, and he will be my supportive to the interview because I'm very nervous. And so let's begin with the question from the new album. Which are the expectations? Because we are all so excited about it. Like, what are
the expectations? I don't know. I mean, at first they weren't that big because it wasn't supposed to be an album in that context. It was more supposed to be what it is in reality. It's newly mixed songs of old songs we had before, but at the same time we did the Kiss cover song for Sword and Stone, and we also included I don't remember if it was 2 or 3 new songs as well. So all of a sudden it kind of went from being just a collaboration album to being greeted and thought of as a whole new record, even though most of the songs are old ones. But considering the kind of support we've gotten from the songs that have been released, we're very excited about it. Because normally these albums are greeted just like in a live album. It's kind of like, it's fun, but maybe not so special, but it has actually turned out to be quite the opposite.
And with the new album premise of the compilation, the public must have even more taste of your transition from the sleaze to the melodic, nostalgic hard rock per se. And this change occurred to you as a band? Like, was it proposed?
I think it was a natural progress. I mean, most of the songs that have been remixed are actually from the album that came after New Religion, which was more or less a U-turn from what we'd done before. I mean, when we first released the first album, it was more sleaze oriented because that was a big thing in Sweden, and we were one of the first bands to do it back then. And then we did New Religion, which we had a thought that was supposed to be okay, but this album is supposed to sound like it should be played in arenas. So the sound and the thought went into that in that characteristics. But when it came to Right Avenue, it was more okay. Let's just do everything 180 degrees the other way around. I wasn't a part of that album more than a session drummer because I was actually out of the band during that time. So I don't really know how the discussions went back then. But then when I came back, we did the self-titled album that was kind of like a mix of the 2 albums before, the 3 albums before. And when Chris and Jens came in the band, we kind of found a more niched thing that we went like, okay, 80s hard rock is the thing we want to do. I mean, considering the people's reaction and what they're saying, what songs they like, we kind of we kind of grew away from this whole sleaze thing, like most bands here in Sweden have. I mean, the whole sleaze genre that was so big and everybody was sleazier than the rest has kind of died out very much. Nowadays, it's more or less like a bad word to say that you're a sleaze band, and we have also gone away from that. But we think our music now doesn't really represent the whole sleaze genre like we did back then. But of course, 20 years later, natural progress.
And as we already said, the expectations are high, and as the entire discography has so many awesome tunes. And what was the main strategy for choosing them?
No idea. Because I wasn't. It was all Danny actually. I mean, this came as an idea from his side to kind of see what happens if the songs that we had on Right Avenue that weren't so overly produced as, for instance, in Religion. So it was actually an idea of him that the record company kind of thought was a good idea, and in the end, it was more of a thing between those guys, the record company and Danny. Except for Sword in the Stone. Sword in the Stone was actually a song that we the rest of the band figured we need something to do, because back then Danny was occupied with doing an album for Chess Kane, and which he does all the music for. So to have something to do, the rest of us says, well, should we like do 2 cover songs just for the sake of it? So we recorded 2, but Sword in the Stone later came out so good that we thought, okay, well, let's have this one on the album as well.
And this song is awesome. I was talking to my friends and I enjoy it more than the original song, to be honest. But,
yeah, but it's a Kiss song. I mean, Kiss or Kiss. I'm not a big fan of Kiss, but I can appreciate the songwriting. And when it comes to songwriting, it sounds like a Kiss song. Through the era which I would like the most, but people actually draw more comparisons to the other band. Now I can't remember what the name was. There was another band who also did a cover of that song. So people are asked us, "Oh, you did a cover of the cover?" We're like, "No, we didn't. We just did the Kiss thing."
It's a song from Bonfire. Bonfire recorded the song.
Yeah.
I love this song. I love this song. I'm wondering why the song never came out in an album from the band. And you released this song. I thought, goddamn, was awesome. This song needed to be in an album someday, and you realize it.
Yeah,
I do as well. I mean, like I said, I'm not a huge Kiss fan, but I prefer the Unmasked era. And if Sword in the Stone would have been on either album from that era, I would have not complained at all. And there's no point in hiding that both Danny and most of the guys in the band really like Kiss, but Danny is really inspired by Kiss, which you can hear on a couple of our songs. So that's why many people have told us as well, oh, it sounds like a Lixx song. Yeah, well, because of the influences.
Going to the concert thing, it's not your first time in Brazil, but it's been 11 years since the last time. Are there any surprises for the fans? What are your expectations? Do you think the public has changed after all this time?
I have no idea. I mean, the first time we only did a one-off show in Sao Paulo 11 years ago, and we didn't have any expectations at all for that as well. I mean, it was like, okay, let's go and play. I for one have heard a lot about the South American fans are supposedly very crazy and stuff like that. I have friends who have toured in South America who have told me this. Even if there's like 20 people in a crowd, it sounds like there are 2,000 in the crowd. But when we were in Sao Paulo, we played a smaller venue. It was like 200, 300 person capacity. But as far as I can remember, it was pretty full. And they were louder in the PA, which was surprisingly for us, because we didn't expect anything. We didn't know. But I mean, nowadays you can find out most things through the internet, like social media and stuff like that. But back then in 2012 or 2013, it wasn't as developed as now. But our expectations are to go there and play and give a little bit of everything when it comes to our albums, and hopefully nobody will say, "Oh, I missed that song, I missed that song." We're gonna do about 15 songs more or less, so it's gonna be a wild ride.
And the concert will take place in the glam metal party Glam Slam and the Glam Metal Fest in São Paulo. How does it feel to be a headliner in being known as big influence among a group with such legendary bands like Pretty Boy Floyd and Tough?
So headlining thing is, I don't really care if I'm a headliner or if I'm a support band. The good thing of being a headliner is that you can play as many songs as you like. When you're a support band, you usually have this little schedule says, "Oh, you have 30 minutes or 40 minutes." And when you have a discography of 8 albums or so, which we had, it's very hard to put down 6 to 8 songs and just go, "Okay, we're happy with this." Because there's always songs you want to play. There's always songs that the crowd wants to hear. We were supporting Heat now in Spain, for instance. We had 40 minutes, which is good time for a support act. But I mean, people come up after us, "Oh, why did you play this song? Why did you play this song?" Because we don't have time. It's that simple.
And now coming back for the albums, the last decade for the band was composed mainly from thematic albums. And what was your favorite concept to work with?
Those albums had a concept. Rough Justice wasn't that to the beginning with. I mean, when Rough Justice was made, it was the starting point was actually the 3 songs we have on that the game from Friday the 13th, which they asked for. They asked for 2 songs, but they got 3 in the end. But they asked for 2 songs that were going to be horror themed, which was going to be Jason thing, and Danny wrote the songs, and they loved it and went on the game. And after some collaboration with our record company, that was okay. But at the same time, that set up more or less the scheme of things of doing the concept album. So we kind of went with that. Danny is the one who writes 90% of the songs, more or less, or more actually. So he usually has an idea of what he wants and what we're supposed to do. So yeah, it was the last album was Cobra Kai influenced or martial arts or something like that. So I'm not really sure. We're starting to run out of alternatives. So I don't think we will do a sci-fi album, if I'm completely honest. But the thought is to make a new album this year, but I have no idea when we're going to start doing it. And the concept right now is not really determined, not in the same way at least.
And what was your favorite concept to work with?
I like the Rough Justice album the most. Since I'm a metal guy, I do prefer the minor scales over the over the happier scales. So when everything's a little bit darker, I prefer it myself. But it was a fun album to do because we were kind of down and knocked out because we lost both our guitarists at the same time. Both Ad and Ed went their separate ways with us, and we weren't sure if we were going to continue. Then Jens and Chris come in the band, and even though Danny writes the music, it was kind of a feeling of starting over, and it felt good. It was a fun recording to make, so it's probably my favorite one.
Then it's a favorite from us as well.
For me, it's Forever Wild. It was the best.
Particularly love the Rough Justice because of the drum sound.
It's these. It's nothing else.
It's pure talent. Pure talent.
For many fans, Rough Justice is the best. Together with the New Religion, I thought.
Which is funny because New Religion, we were in a big studio for 2 weeks straight and did everything like the old school way. But when we did Rough Justice, we did actually the drums in our rehearsal place. So we did everything there, and we actually all the latest 3 albums are made in that drum room.
As Crazy Lixx is labeled as the new wave of sleaze, how would you explain the Swedish scene, the rock scene there? Like, do you songs play on the radio as usual?
No,
people
we
like
don't have radio stations like that. The Swedish radio is mostly pop music, and we have a rock channel, but they usually prefer to play things from the 80s, 90s, and maybe early 2000s. And with few exceptions, there are very few new bands that get played on that radio. We also have one other one, but the thing is, I have no idea how much we're getting played, if we're getting played at least, because I usually don't listen to radio when I'm in my car. I usually have my Spotify account on and the music I prefer to listen to. But the rock scene is strong, which always has been. Malmo, where we are usually from, has had a lot of bands, but the quality, and this is not being disrespectful to anybody, but the quality wasn't always there, especially if you compare to bands from Gothenburg and Stockholm. No matter what genre you're in, but both Gothenburg and Stockholm has poured out so many great bands and so many capable musicians for over the years, that Malmo, where we're from, most of us at least, it's not really the same thing there. It has a good rock scene. I mean, people come out and play and watch bands play. I mean, Nestor was here last year and was a full house more or less, and Eclipse was here a couple of months ago, and so the people are here, but the bands that came up are kind of decayed and went away. But I know there are newer bands like Wildness that have they've been around, so new, but they've been around and they have been strong as well. And you have the old school guys like Hardcore Superstar and you have Nestor, and I mean there's like 5 or 6 Swedish bands there, including us. I mean Treat and Heat and Hardcore Superstar playing, Crash Diet are coming. Last year with either the Norwegian Cruel Intentions were there as well, which were an awesome band. They have a Swedish guys in the band, and they actually had a song in Swedish, which I first heard on the boat. It was like, oh, shit, this is a really, really good song. And to have the balls to sing in Swedish in front of an American audience, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
In Brazil, we have that image that the Sweden is a source of many bands. Until now, we know that United States, England, German was bigger in the past, but now we all in Brazil figure out that Sweden is a new source of bands. Is a normal to other countries, or only in Brazil we think that's way?
I don't know. I think there's a point to it. I mean, not that I know every band in Germany, for instance, but I mean, considering if you look at the bands that have come out from Sweden that also have been internationally acclaimed, bands like Heat, Nestor, or Hardcore Superstar for that matter, even the really old guys like Europe and stuff like that. But I mean, there have come out so many bands from Sweden, so it's not the first time I've heard people say that Sweden is a bit like the melting pot for this kind of hard rock genre. And I mean, for us, sure. I mean, I haven't heard of other countries that have produced that many bands with that many high quality that actually been able to get out of their own backyard, so to speak. So I guess so.
Joe, how did you join Crazy Lixx? Did you know Danny and Vic before?
Yeah, I know. No, Vic and me we have played together since I was 17, so it's like a million years from now. No, I'm 43 now, so I've known Vic for 26 years. We played together first from I was 17 to forever. And Danny came around like a year later. We started, me and Vic were playing it together in a metal band, and we got introduced to Danny for a mutual friend who was the singer in that band back then. That band was strange. It was like a hybrid of everything you can imagine. I mean, it was like Pantera influences to Sonata Arctica and stuff like that. So it was a really weird band. But from the ashes from that band, Danny wanted to do music that he liked from the late 80s and early 90s, like Skid Row and stuff like that. So he first brought Vic into the game, and then later I got to be the drummer. So I played together with Danny since it's 24 years now.
It's older than me, so this idea. I have only 19, and it's pretty like crazy to think that like the band had been on the road like all those years, and you guys are still strong and like now are better than ever.
I mean, we have worked a lot with this band. I mean, we've been around since 2002, and we have been extremely lucky. I mean, there are bands and musicians out there who are phenomenal, but doesn't get the break they need to get out. And we were lucky enough to do that, but it took a lot of hard work. I mean, we have played in front of, we have driven for, it was about 1,000 kilometers to play in front of 50 people and then go back again, sleeping on floors and not getting gas money even or stuff like that, just to play in front of people. So we have done the dirty work, so to speak. And thankfully, we've been able to upgrade ourselves a bit more every time. So we're in a comfortable place now that we are able to come and play, for instance, in South America for you guys, which we wouldn't have been able to do otherwise.
So as we are speaking from Vic Zeno, today he's on Hardcore Superstar, and he left the group right after the release of the Crazy Lixx first album. And
the traitor.
Which is very accepted for the hard rock fans, right? And do you know anything about his decision, or it was like just I want to?
No, but it was no. The thing was that we were on tour with Hardcore Superstar in England, and the last show, Thomas said, "I don't want to do this anymore," so he quit, more or less. He did one last show in London, and that was it. But the thing was that they had like a week or two before they were supposed to go to an Australian tour and Japanese tour as well, I believe. And it was Thomas himself who said to the guys in Hardcore, I mean, bring Vic with you. I think he's more than capable. And when he got asked to, and back then it was just to be a stand-in, we kind of knew. I mean, I knew for that matter, because if I was Hardcore Superstar and we have a guy that works on tour, works with us personality-wise, why should we do an audition for the guitars? There's no point. So when he got back from the tour, I kind of knew that it was gonna come, and I can't blame him. I mean, Hardcore Superstar is a far bigger band than us, especially back then. That's what they were on a real high back then as well. So it wasn't it was a hard decision for him, but at the same, it was an understandable one. So there was no grudges, there was no bad feelings or anything. I mean, everyone understood why. And we're still friends to this day. I helped Hardcore Superstar last year on the Mork. So, I mean, me and Vic are still friends. We talk to each other on and off, and we meet up like once a year, and so we both say that every time we meet, it's like no time has passed. So he's a very dear friend of mine, even though we don't play in the same band anymore.
We saw him last year with Hardcore Superstar, and it was awesome. It would be very nice if, like, in a future or something, he could like do something with Crazy Lixx again, or even for composing stuff. And like Love on the Run from the first album, it's like
I thought that Joe didn't like the question.
No more big questions.
No, I don't want to play with Vic anymore.
Get out here.
It would never happen. No, but like Love on the Run, it's like a song that it's like very, I don't know how to explain it. So if you guys to do something like that again, it would be very, very awesome.
Nobody knows what the future holds. I mean, but when it comes to songwriting, it's Danny's department, so to speak. I mean, I play drums. That's about it. If I would come with a riff to the guys, they would probably just laugh. I would too, for that matter.
Having the United States as the father of the 80s rock and now dominated with metalcore bands, inside the rock genre, do you know how Crazy Lixx is seen by this scene? Like, I believe the song Anthem for America, it's a kind of about that.
Yeah, the Anthem America is about how it used to be the hair metal thing and glam metal thing and stuff like that, and then it turned to the not country to grunge and then metalcore and stuff like that. And that's like an homage from our part. I mean, we are an 80s influenced band. I mean, there's no denying it. And of course, we would like to see the bands play arenas again, and not just the big ones, but being a smaller band coming out and hopefully do that as well. But it's like an homage, really. But we know we have a good following in US. The problem is that US is humongous. So it's not like we have 5,000 people in one city, or it's like 10,000 people in two cities. It's maybe 10,000 people or 15,000 people over a huge area. So we have talked a lot about doing a tour in the US, and people have been bugging us, especially on the more cruise, that how come you guys don't tour the US? The problem is that touring the US is super expensive because the visas are super expensive. Then you have travel costs and stuff like that. And I mean, sorry, but things need to add up. If it doesn't add up, it's kind of hard to just go, yeah, I'll be away for 3 weeks. That's not a problem. I don't have to pay my rent. Who gives a shit? I mean, it doesn't work like that. When I was 25, sure. When I'm 43, no.
Yeah. So, Joel, do you have any register from outside Crazy Lixx? I got to know that you played in a death metal band called ENTREVISTA.
Yeah, I actually have the T-shirt.
Oh, that's so nice.
It's a funny thing because I quit that band 2007 when Crazy Lixx were coming up, and I didn't really have time to have two bands. Back then, I played so much drums in so many bands with all genres. But when this came to 2007, I started working full time, and my future wife was like, "Well, do you really have time to do this? Because we'd hardly see each other, and you're gone every weekend playing shows." So I did a decision to say, okay, well, I'm going to quit one of the bands, and Crazy Lixx was dearer to my heart. And all the guys in death metal band, they was like, yeah, sure, this is death metal. It's not like we're going to go on a 6 months tour. So, and the band actually broke up after that. But the funny thing is that's why I had a T-shirt, because Dayan, the guitarist back then, he had all the master tapes. And actually, because it's the same thing there, we write to each other once every 6 months or something like that, just checking out how everybody is. And I told him, because on Spotify, a lot of the bands from Alma that back then played metal and stuff like that, they were coming out on Spotify, like albums that had been out since 2001, which nobody had heard of. So I was like, hey, how come our albums is not on there? And he said, well, the first album, there's nothing to do because that's the old company that owns the rights to that. But I have the masters for the second album that we recorded but never released. So that's why they're out on Spotify now. He just put out the master tapes there because everything was mixed and ready, but the second album just didn't see the light of day. And then he printed the T-shirt, so I had one now.
That's so nice. So it's a treasure.
Yeah. For me, it is. I mean, it's memories. You always have fun memories of stuff you did before. So it was kind of fun thing, and it also is good fun for people to hear what you did. I mean, it's 16 years ago I did that album, so it's kind of fun to hear it again. And imagine how fast I was back then. I mean, I couldn't play that kind of music now if I was to save my life. No chance.
Joel, we want to know about more about of you. What does Joel like to, besides playing drums? What's your hobbies?
I weight train quite a bit. I hope, at least I try to. And I have 2 kids, so my life is pretty hectic. So, and I work full time as a music teacher in a school here in Sweden. So hobbies, there's not a lot of time for hobbies. It's kids, training, sometimes to be with my wife. It's kind of hard to find stuff to do outside of this. It's kind of like this Ferris wheel that just goes round and round and round. That's my life, more or less.
If I'm not wrong, you were one of the main bands from Frontiers Records, now saying from Crazy Lixx. And how was the invite to work with them, and how is it going since this partnership, who it seems to be running very well?
That's also Danny's department. Danny is the one. I remember that. I don't know if they contacted us or we contacted them. I'm not really sure. We did the first album as an independent label, and then when after that album was out, I don't know how we got approached or we approached them. It was all Danny there. But Danny is the one that has been in contact with them the whole time. But I mean, Frontiers, as far as I know, have been very good for us. I mean, they let us do what we want. They don't interfere. They give us a good budget, considering what that budgets nowadays are hard to come by for bands. So I mean, for us, we have stayed with them for over 10 years, and I think there's a reason behind that.
For the last, what are your expectations for the South America tour? Like, does you like want to do something here? Do you want to discover things here?
We would love to, but there will be so little time. I got the flights or the whole schedule a couple of weeks ago, and it's gonna be flights in, go directly to the venue, sound check, go to the hotel, sleep an hour, go back, I don't know if we're gonna do meet and greets, and then do the shows, and then hang out with you guys a little bit. I would love to see the beaches in Brazil, for instance. I mean, what I've seen on TV, they look beautiful, and you guys have always good weather, more or less, and especially compared to where I'm at right now. Yeah. It's raining and it's cold outside. And I would love to see like more of Brazil. I remember we had a day off the day before we played in Sao Paulo, and we walked around a little bit, and it was kind of cool to see the high buildings and all. And there was a place in Sao Paulo, I don't remember its name, but it was like a whole building, just hard rock stuff. And we did a signing session there.
Galeria do Rock, I
guess. Yeah, that was it. That's it. That still exists?
Yeah.
Cool. Let's go
there.
If we have time, sure. But if we don't have time, I'm not too sure. Like I said, we have a very tight schedule. But I'm hoping to eat some of your barbacoa, because I do enjoy a good barbecue. And speak with you guys. I mean, we are not the guys that hang backstage and wait for the car to come pick us up. I mean, we like to meet people that listen to our music, sign stuff, and if they want that for some reason, just to say hi. I mean, I have some friends, and I have a friend in Argentina. I haven't met her for 20 years, and because she lived in Sweden before, and now she lives in Buenos Aires, and she said, I'm going to see the show. I was like, oh, fuck me, that was going to be fun. And of course, some of the guys in Brazil and Sao Paulo we met last time, and I haven't seen those guys for, it was over 10 years, 11 years. It's going to be fun. We're looking really forward to come and play for you guys.
So I will bring you a few sweets from here, like here from Brazil. I'm gonna bring them brigadeiros, Leandro. Gonna make brigadeiros.
Looking forward to it. Last time there was a guy came in backstage and put like a meter of cocaine on the table. It's like, you want some? I was like, no. Yeah, no, that I'm fine, thanks.
Not that kind of sweet.
No, I'm not saying that kind of sweet, but there was this guy. I mean, I was hanging backstage after the show. I was kind of tired, and we met some people. So it was just hanging backstage. But for some reason, people came in and went the whole time we were back there. And I was sitting there by myself. Danny was lost somewhere, and the other guys were out. I don't know what they were doing. And this guy come in and just draws this big line of cocaine on the table, and he goes, "Do you want some?" It's like, "No, thanks, that's fine." And did the whole line himself, and then just went off. I was like, okay. If that guy's alive tomorrow, I'm gonna be impressed.
Yeah, that's a crazy story.
Joe,
So,
we ask to our guests a question. We want to know what your 3 favorite rock or heavy metal, hard rock albums
Of all time?
all
yeah.
of the time.
Without a doubt, for me, the first album is Painkiller with Judas Priest. I think that's for me that's an album that doesn't have any faults at all. And then I'm a very big Tool guy. I love Tool. So Tool's Lateralus album for me is the same. It's perfect album. And I would say Def's Symbolic album for me is one of my favorite albums ever. It's if you want like a good introduction to death metal, which is not only like the Cookie Monster thing, then you have a good album there.
I'm gonna take a look. I was trying to dig more into the death metal thing.
Yeah, I mean Chuck Schuldiner he doesn't sound like the Cookie Monster. He has like this little raspy voice, but it's a lot of melodies. It's a lot of melodies, more than you would expect from a death metal band, which he got a lot of shit for, but he also defined that whole era, so people can go fuck themselves.
So that's it. Thank you very much, Joel, for this
No
interview.
worries. No problem. Sorry for being late.
No. I hate it. I will tell all my friends that Joe made me wait an entire hour.
I owe you a hug. I will give you a hug and say sorry in person.
I will be seeing you in São Paulo and Curitiba. And I hope I know that there are people that will be in the 3 concerts in São Paulo, Belo Horizonte in the Glam Slam Party, and Curitiba in the Glam Slam Party as well, with Tuff and Marena in Curitiba. So we are all hoping to all goes well. And thank you very much again.
No worries, no problem.
And have a nice day. Have a nice tour. We are all sending blessings to your family as well.
Thank you very much.
And that's
I'll see you in 4 weeks, more or less.
Yay!
All right. Have a good one. See ya.
Bye.
See ya. Thank you very much, Joe.
No worries, Leandro. Thank you.